is Freeman, and I am a muralist, and I do studio paintings, drawings, cut paper collages, light installations, some video work. I do a lot of collaborations working with people who aren't necessarily artists, but people who do 3D design or do lighting design, printmaking, stuff like that. And then I also teach workshops, do artist in residence programs with schools.
Yeah, Brandon Sadler, also Rising Red Lotus. I paint murals. That's what I'm mostly known by, but I also do gallery shows, and I do comic books from time to time. And well, I'm working on one. I also carve, and I teach from time to time, and I don't know. I'm mostly now trying to find ways to make the things that I make visually functional. So it kind of gets out of the box of just being something to look at, and more something that you can interact with.
Yeah. When I first started, one of my goals was to be sort of like the antidote to all the advertisements that you see. And again, especially in cities, it's so easy to get inundated with those. And it's really, I think, rare in public spaces to have things that have no agenda, that isn't just a blank wall. So I make these pieces with the idea that they will kind of hit people on a visceral, emotional level. And I mean, even if it's something as simple as like, that is a beautiful thing. Those colors resonate with me somehow. But just something that has kind of a pure intention to just like be beautiful and create kind of a harmonious environment within a larger environment that's so kind of chaotic and disparate.
As far as the murals, like we painted together like 3 times, 3 times. And I've seen your work, you've seen mine. Like I think on the superficial level, like it gives something less sterile to look at.
Sure.
It's engaging and it's fun. But then also because, like, we go back to, I guess, commenting on social events or things like that, social commentary. Like, I try to do that in the work. So I want to create a dialogue or create a conversation around the piece. Something that will activate people's minds, whether they're talking to me or not. They'll talk to themselves or they'll talk to a friend.
I'd like to use this as an opportunity to do some studies working with themes that I've been thinking about for a long time. So themes of pollination, flowers, this sort of like language of plants, and this interchange of this like really small interchange between like pollinators and flowers, and how far that reverberates and echoes outside of that. It's like our whole planet is dependent on such a small thing. So to just study that.
And the bees are going through hell right now.
Yeah, and like a lot of the pollinators, there's like all like the monarch butterflies are, their populations are decreasing because their main food source is this super invasive weed that nobody wants to plant anymore. So everybody's having a hard time, like pesticides are everywhere. So I feel like I need to study this while this still exists. So I want to do like a daily drawing meditation, just sort of like holding that idea in my head, and thinking about those interchanges. And I think visually, it will still be pattern-based and color-based, but I think it might be a little bit looser. I may experiment with some like ink washes or some, we talked about making pigments from natural materials, and I feel like this would be a perfect opportunity to experiment with some of that, especially making pigments from flowers, and then, it's like the content and the material have this conversation, and that's really appealing to me. So it'll be something in that vein, very natural.
I guess the thing that I think about is when you spend X amount of time or your whole life developing a habit or a skill or a practice, and there's an image that is centered around that thing, and you know that this is backwards and turned inside out, but it's still familiar, and this looks foreign. So like I'm gonna make fonts out of, you know, the calligraphy that I do, and it's this new thing, and I'm gonna pose it up against like Helvetica letters, and maybe those will be backwards or turned around. And 9 times out of 10, when people look at it, they'll recognize the A or the B in the backwards letter because it's familiar.
Yeah.
But the new thing they won't be able to recognize, and it's right side up. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it'll be neat. So like, you know, 10 by 10 panels with, you know, if you had the one letter here and the other letter here, just pressed up against each other on like black on white or something like that.
That'll be good. This will be a chance for both of us to experiment.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're both at the beginning of like big shifts in our work. You know, it's like you go through these evolutions, and I feel like both of us are at the beginning of a new phase.
Right.
So I think this will kind of push some of that.
Yeah, it's at the
forward.
brink, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.